What's up, guys? This is Justin from the Board Game Losers, and I'm finally back with another playthrough of Tamashi Chronicles of Ascend. So this is basically a kind of like a futuristic cyberpunk. Um, it's not really fantasy; it's futuristic cyberpunk, and you're essentially somebody that is, you can inhabit bodies. You can, the future is grim. This AI is basically taking over the world, and essentially what we're called to do is to combat the AI. So, it's by Awakened Realms Light. So it's a great game. So my plan for this series is I'm going to try to play through it. I'm going to play 2 players. All right. We'll see how it goes. And there's been several videos for other content creators about the prologue, and I almost didn't play it, but really it is a good way to kind of get in that headspace. And there's a couple things at the end that you get that you unlock as far as learning protocols and whatnot. So if you don't know anything about this game, this would be a good place to start. And so once I finish this one, then we'll start going through the actual campaign. Now, I do have the expansions, so I'm going to try to throw some of those other expansions in there with the other. There's some tiles, there's some people that you can play, there's some new scenarios that are not part of the main story campaign, which I don't have the main. Hold a second, let me grab it. So there's kind of like 2 main parts. There's the main story campaign. Wow, you cannot see that. Let me go down to the table. That's going to be easier to see. So there's the main story campaign, right? So that's going to be all of these. You can see that you have the prologue, and then some of these have different endings, right? But we basically have to play through all these in order to play the Ascend, which is the final one. But also, there's some more from what's called the Lost Pages. These can be thrown in really anywhere that you want. So we'll be playing through that, and I'm really excited about this. This game it's a programming game. So if you haven't ever played a programming game before, basically we'll just look at the hero card. Oh, okay, there we go. Whew, I don't know what that was. So you can see you've got your player up here is your body. So this is kind of what you inhabit, what you walk around in. And then you've got different stats. You've got your health. You've got power, which is basically dice for attacks. You've got rerolls. You've got shields. You've got memory, which is a way to spend to get upgrades and augments for classes and factions and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk about that. And then the trace tracker. So that is kind of, you remember it's a digital world. So as you're moving around in this world, the AI is kind of trying to hunt you down. And so that is how it tries to hunt you down. You got your core data type, which is basically what that has to do with is there's certain elements like programs and stuff that you can launch, and it's not a tutorial necessarily, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But that tells you, for the purposes of those cards, that star shows up, this is what that represents. So that's what color that you need in your programming area in order to execute that, whatever it is. So that's what we got. And then, of course, we have our main area here. This is the prologue, and it comes with a sheet. And this is the sheet. So the sheet is going to tell you how to set it up. It's going to tell you the enemy decks, the data pool, the corrupted data pool. That's kind of like, it's not a timer really, but it sort of is a timer other than the time track. And then players, any special rules for players. So basically, and then of course you can see here what card to get started with. Basically, in this beginning, we're not playing with bodies or learning protocols. We're not playing with trace, etc. This is just to basically teach you the basics of the game. And then at the end, there's potentially 2 learning protocols that we can add to our pool, which is great. We love learning protocols. All right, cool. So I think that's enough for now. So in the setup, I've got the setup. These are locations. So sometimes it'll give you specific locations that are in the pool. Sometimes it'll be known. So for example, we knew based on, again, this setup that those two were supposed to be face up. And then there's a specific set of other ones that are face down. We set our enemy deck, which was all level 1s and 2s. We should not get anywhere near. I mean, that's level 1s and 2s. It's a pretty thick deck. Get through that. We start out in the damage district. So the other thing that I want to show you is these minis, which are pretty cool. One of these days, maybe I'll paint them. We'll see. But there is a ton of these guys to play. So these are all different like bodies that you can be, right? That you can unlock that come out, and it's just really, really, really good. So, and I'll explain the player powers here in a minute. We'll need one basic body for each of these folks. So I think we'll go with that. All right. And they will have these rings. These rings out. Way too big. There are a couple of big bodies if you can get them. Of course, they're pretty expensive. Or, well, I say expensive. Expensive as in complex combinations. Because everything in this game is about this data. All about the data. So it says when we all start, let's see, where did it say we all start? Place one random exploration, enemy cards, the damage district. So that's over here. So we're all going to start right there. You can play this with true solo, where there's essentially like another bot that runs around. But I'm going to play it two-handed. I don't know if that's better or worse. A lot of the stuff scales, so if you can see, for example, here, you can see that the time is going to be scaled based on the number of players. So, that's kind of one of the main scaling mechanisms of the game. So, let's start with... oops. Didn't need to do that. Let's start with our card, shall we? And I'm going to put this up on the screen, because I don't really have... Well, I don't know. I guess I could do it like this. Let's see. Let's go to the blue player. Over here. All right. After shaking off the dust and adjusting your new surroundings, you take a moment to stretch and revel in the sensation of touch and movement. As you walk around the apartment, you realize that you're alone and the world outside is eerily silent. Neon lights illuminate the streets in shades of blue and magenta, advertising unknown products, but there's no sign of life. With a growing sense of unease, you sour? Really? You scour the apartment for the clues and stumble upon an ancient handwritten note that leads you to a shelter. Although you're uncertain of what it means, you're desperate for answers, and you decide to follow the trail. Perhaps the shelter holds the key to unraveling the mystery of this quest, of this quiet and desolate world. So it says we set time to 6 minus the number of players. We get 2 players. So if we go back to here, that means we've got a 4-time set right there. So we got that covered. And it says read the scenario sheet instructions, AO1. And basically remember what this is like the prologue, right? So the special rules are all, here's the sections for you to basically go read, right? So AO1 says just refer to planning, action, quest, and map sections of the rule book. I've already done that, so we don't have to worry about that. This does come with a good set of cards for player aids. You got your turn order, your patterns. If you do die, that's basically called a reset. How to upgrade, how combat works, and then just kind of what the different symbols are for the data tokens, et cetera, et cetera. So let's start with our turn order, the planning phase. And I believe it said, let's see here. Yeah, okay. There's really not a whole lot to do in planning for us right now. Let's see, let me put those. Here's a reminder. There's not really a whole lot of stuff to do in the planning steps. The planning step says trace roll. Well, we don't have anything trace roll wise because we don't have anything on our player track. So if you look at your player track over here on this side, you'll see that there's this trace track. So the more trace you have, the more dice you're going to potentially roll. And if you roll, so for example, let's say that I was up here. When it comes to that step, that says I've got to have 2 dice, and if I get this side, that's going to add an enemy to the deck. There's blanks on here, and there is kind of like a improved attack, I guess you would say, sort of. It's kind of how you look at that. So I'd roll that. So, right, in that case, great roll. I don't have any enemies that get added on. So that's a plus. So that's how that works. So there's nothing to trace. There's an upgrade. You have to have experience to do that. We don't have any experience. So we can skip that. And I will show this. So this is our card for our goals. You can pause it if you want to look at it. So our goals are, well, first of all, special rules. Ignore trace roll step and trace on district tile. So normally when we would enter a tile or if we stay on a tile, these trace values are going to cause that track to climb up, right? To get higher and higher. It's going to be more dice we roll for potential enemies. We're ignoring that. World activity. If all players are on the shelter tile, you arrived at your destination. So this is the shelter tile right here. So basically, we're trying to get over here. And then we get some rewards. Otherwise, the time gets reduced. And then there's a card. If we run out of time, we draw, and it tells us what we need to do. So that's the dealio. So we're going to put that up here in our scenario card. So that takes care of that. So then we have the action phase. So there's the move and trace. And with one player, right? Well, with 2 players. But before we do any of that, so that's what we're going to do. But before we do any of that, we have to finish out the planning phase. This is simultaneous. Of course, obviously, it's going to be 2 with me by myself. But we have to fill our launcher, and then we have to program. And let's go to let's go to the blue player first. So this is the blue player. So we've got a bag that has all the tokens in it. So there's 4, and you can kind of see what they match with: the blue, the green, the yellow, the red data types that we're going to put out. So all of the light spaces, when we put stuff out, is going to be on those light spaces. The dark spaces, not you don't put anything there. You also notice that we have some sections locked. So there's some things that we can do with that, which I'll explain in a minute. But first thing we got to do is we have to refill the launcher, and that's what this is. And then this is the data dump. We have to refill that in reading order with these tokens. So now the initial bag is built with 12 tokens, so 3 of each color, plus 1 of whatever the core data type is, which is right here. So we're going to do that. Okay. Whoop. Yellow, blue. Well, we got some attack coming up. Another yellow. Maybe some rerolls. We'll see. And blue. All right. So let's put this back down here so I don't forget, because that would be bad. So if you look up here at our walker, we have a movement of 2, which means we can move 2 when we're out on the main board. Attack of 1, which means by default when we attack, we just roll a single die. Then we have damage that we can do based on our die rolls, plus whatever programs that we'll eventually get. So we'll eventually get programming 4, so that means we've got 4 moves. So a move is either left or right, so that would be 1 move. or that would be one move. Orthogonally, can't go diagonally. Or you can switch. So, for example, if I did something like this for one, then my second move could be switch, and then my third move could be switch, right? So that's kind of how that goes. That goes like that. It's over here, I think. So we've got 4 moves. Now, remember, it's all about programming. So we've got these 4 patterns. So you have the four basic patterns, which matches these. So basically 3 in a row, and it can't be mirrored. All right. So you'd have to like kind of turn this. Of course, it doesn't make sense with this card because they're all the same, but it will eventually. Each of the types. So you've got shields, you got memory, you've got power, and you got rerolls. Now, if we get 3 in a row, we get to move up our cube 1 on that track. If we get 5 in a row, then we double that. We would get 2. Now, we have to unlock these, and there's different ways to unlock that, tiles and other things of that nature that we do that for. So, also, if we get 1 of each color, okay, that is going to give us that same pattern as, that's going to give us an experience. And that experience, again, is what we use to kind of like augment and craft and upgrade our bodies. So, I only get 4 moves, so let's see if we can do much with it. And remember, we're going to move this, and then any blue, light blue space that's available, the next time this comes around, we're going to be drawing more out of our bag to fill that in. So, with 4, we're going to go, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that'll get us kind of set up for the next time. So we're going to be able to launch, for sure going to be able to launch at least the red for now. So, that's the thing. So when we do our turn order, we do it in order, right? So, but this is simultaneous. The first part, the planning phase, is simultaneous, so that takes care of that player. And we're going to go over here to the red player, and we're going to do the same thing. The only difference in the bag is that the red player has 1 extra red instead of 1 extra blue because of the core type. So let's go. Whoops. Let's go blue. These out however they come out. Green, red, blue, green. And a lot of this programming is sometimes you're just kind of setting up for the future. But what you don't do, and I've seen this on some of the, well, there's a couple things that I need to explain about that when we get to the launcher, but you don't get to put these when they come out of the bag, they come out in the order they come out. So like you don't get to say, oh, I want to put this color here and that color there. That is not how that works. All right, so we've got those laid out. So now we've got a program. Wow, that is a whole bunch of stuff all over the place. So all of the bodies basically, I didn't show this. I can go back to show that. All the bodies start out with kind of the same stats except for their ability. So this walker, this one is on the combat phase. If I lose any amount of health, I deal that much damage back to the enemy. So this is definitely more of like a combat walker as opposed to this blue over here that we just did. This lets me dump 1 blue, so it means I take 1 off of the board, put it down here, and then prepare 2. So that gives me, it's not a combat ability, it gives me a much better, a way to manipulate the board essentially. So that's how they're all different. And of course there's class factions, faction abilities, there's augments and stuff, so you can really, take a character and play it however you want to play it. Plus, the bodies that you get all have different abilities and stuff like that. So there is a lot of customization that you can do. Okay, so 4 moves over here on red. So let's. There's not really a great amount of stuff I can do as far as since those are so spread out. So I'm going to try to kind of group stuff together and really focus on trying to get these blue spaces open, the light blue open, so that when I can put more out there. So that's 1, 2, 3, actually 3. And 4 again, just to get some stuff out here. Yeah, let's go with that. I'm not a professional at this. Okay, so you guys know if you watch the channel much, it can get spicy. I'm not perfect. All right, so that took care of turn order, right? And we didn't have anything to upgrade with, right? Because we didn't have any health. So health, memory, experience, or anything like that we could use. So now we go to the action phase. And we'll start with, I'm just going to put a green check up here to remind myself. There's a token for it, but I left it in the box. We're going to start with the red player. So move 2. Remember, whenever you move, you're going to, when you move to a new location, wherever we choose to move, we're going to flip this over. We're going to get this benefit. Mostly it's positive. Sometimes it's not. And we're trying to get all the way over here based on our current objective. So we're just going to move to this tile right here. So I'm going to flip this over, and we gain a yellow. Now that doesn't go on our board, and it doesn't go in our bag. It actually goes, I've got all of them right here. So it's actually going to go in our dump. So that means it goes right here. So whenever we run out of tokens to draw out of the bag, then anything that's in the dump goes back into the bag. So, and we'll take that off. I don't think we'll need it, but we'll set it up there just to do it. And then let's see what we got. So we have high building, which is prepare 1 and program 1. So we move and trace. Now remember, the scenario specifically stated that we ignore the trace. So under normal circumstances, when we move to this tile, we'd have to go back to our player board, and we'd have to move this trace up right here by 3. So normally it would go to here. So it's 3's not the largest, but it's not small. It's a lot bigger than, say something like that. But we ignore that. But we do get to do what's down here on the district. And this says prepare 1 and program 1. So on the back of the rule book, I wish it was like a separate thing, but they have this really, it's got pretty much everything on it. It's very, very helpful. In addition, of course, to the help cards. But it's going to tell us all the keywords. So we got prepare 1 and program 1. Prepare 1 means you draw tokens out of your bag. So out of the red player's bag, we're going to draw 1, and then you get to place it anywhere on the map. So I can place this anywhere on this that I want. I drew a yellow, so where do I want to put it? And we got prepare 1 and program 1, which means we can also do a move. So I think I'm going to put it here to get us a yellow going, and then program. I'm going to move that right there, which is going to open us up to a few more tokens. I think that'll do well. So that is the move and trace. We didn't do trace. District effect, we did it. Launch. Now, normally we would launch programs here, but again, looking at the red players, we don't have any sort of combinations that we can do. So unfortunately, we'll have to skip that. And that takes care of the player. They're done. So now let's go to the blue player, who doesn't have a name yet. I'm just going to call him red and blue, I guess. We're going to do the same thing with him. Remember, we've got basically 4 turns to get from here, both of us to here. So I could go the long way around. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So we're going to go over here. And we're going to get, he's going to get a red. So we're going to add a red token to the blue player's launcher. Oops, right there. I keep forgetting I hit this thing. As I'm doing it a little bit different than I normally do. We don't do the tracing, which is good. So let me move this off here. But let's see what we are at. So we're at the main frame. So the main frame says prepare 1. Right, so we go here. We're not doing the trace, so blue gets a token, and he draws green, which we'll place. That's red, that's not blue. Over here. So that's the prepare step. And we're back to the main part. So combat, we don't have any combat. Quest phase, that's the third part. Player activity step, we don't have anything that we need to do. We could potentially, for example, there's certain steps where we could do things in, and there might be something up here or on another card that activates in that step. But as it stands, there is none of that. World activity steps, so we go check our card. If all players are on the shelter tile, we haven't. We're not. Otherwise, reduce time by 1, and if time is at 0, draw a card AX1. So we go from 4 time to 3 time, and we start back at the top. So trace roll, again, we don't have any trace roll. Refill launcher. So now we're going to go to each of our players, and first player token step. So technically, the blue player is now our first player. So let's go to the blue player. So now we're going to refill the launcher. Right. Oh wait, did I skip the launch step? Oh, I skipped the launch step. So in the launch step last time around, sorry, totally skipped that. We would have launched this, which means this power goes up. And all those go in there. So now we refill the launcher. And we do these one at a time. Right. Prepare is what lets you do them wherever you want them. And so we kind of know what we've got here, right? Because now I've placed everything I can place, but you see I still have a blue. This bag is empty. Nothing left in here. So I'm going to take all of these that are in the dump. Oh, and I'm going to throw them all over the place, apparently. I'm going to put them back in the bag, right? And then I'm going to give a little shuffle here. And draw one out. Probably, yeah, I was going to say it's probably going to be a red. So there's that. So that's refill launcher. And this planning phase, again, happens simultaneously. So we're going to go ahead and go over here to the red player. And we're going to refill that. So we've got a yellow. Okay, wish that had come out a little bit closer to the other side. Red. Ooh, look at that. That's potentially an experience right there. We may do that. A green. Okay. And a blue. And we're out of data tokens, but we do have the one that was there that would go in the bag and we immediately draw. So there you go. Next thing we do then is launch. or sorry, not launch, program. So we'll go back, keep this the way it's supposed to be. First player. Yellow would be good. Actually, if we do one, remember we get, because we're programming, we get 4. So there's 1, 2. Let's go 3, 4. Again, just kind of thinking about what we could do in the future. Now, here's what I do want to show, and actually we'll see it here in a second. So that's the programming step. We don't have anything that we can upgrade with. We don't have any memory. We don't have any experience or anything like that. So let's go to the red player. So here's the thing. If I can find a good example. Let's say, okay, here's a good example. Let's say, and I'm not going to do this, but let's say that I had this situation right here. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at this, and I've seen a couple playthroughs online where they did not do this correctly. Well, I guess I kind of cheated if these were like this. No, that's still all right. That wasn't what I was going to do anyway. Actually, it would be like this. All right. So, in this case, we have all the colors. Wow, that really likes to freak out, don't it? Oh, sorry about that. Had to make a quick camera change. One of these webcams is being goofy. So what I'm going to show you is, and I'm probably not going to put these back because it's been a few minutes now since, for you it's only been a second, but for me it's been a few minutes, and I don't honestly remember where exactly these went. But basically what I want to show is, you see we got a 3 here, and then we've got the experience pattern, right? Just this one down here. There. Now, if I execute this, I have to do these one at a time in order. So if I execute this, and these 3s go away, then I don't have this pattern anymore. I've seen some playthroughs where they basically looked at the grid and said, okay, here's a pattern, maybe here's a pattern for something else, and they launched it, and they got all 3. That's not how that works. You do them one at a time. So if I launch it here, then I'm not getting this one. If I launch this one here, then I'm not getting that one. Okay? So we're going to keep it like it is. I think that was maybe 2 moves. We'll say 2 moves. So let's do 1 more move. And I'm going to leave it like it is. Now, in the planning, we don't actually execute these. Okay? This is just, this is just us getting this ready. Once the launch step happens, then that's when we actually get to execute these. And once we get, I'll just show you as an example. Once we get enemies, then during the launch steps, we can start doing stuff like this. And this is going to kind of give us, before combat happens, some things that we can do to do damage to them before we get to that combat step. So keep that in mind too. Okay, so that is everybody programmed. Cool. Let's go back to the main scene. So now we're going to go to our action phase, and first player, which in this case is blue, goes. They get to move and trace. Remember, there's no trace. And then we can use the district effect if we want to, and then we actually launch our program. So we're going to move here. Okay, so that token says we can get any one of these we want. Right now, it doesn't matter. We know we've got an extra blue. I think I'm going to go with a red. So we're going to go to the blue player. We're going to add a red to their dump. And then we're going to look and see what this is. So this is the Abandoned Shack 3 and a 5. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that. But it is a program 3, which kind of sucks because I really kind of already have everything where I want. So I'm just going to forego the district step. Um, well, yeah, I'm going to forego the district step, and we're just going to go straight into launch. All right, so we've got a yellow, so we'll launch that. Basic pattern, boom. We get one reroll here. And we've got a blue. We got memory here. All right, so that is everything that we can launch. Now, I could have, because, oops, sorry, shaking the table. Because I have this in launch stamp, I could have dumped a blue, which I may do. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to dump this blue, and then I'm going to prepare two. So I'm just going to basically move this over, essentially just to get me some more out there to be able to add. So that is my district effect. That's my launch step. That's everything for the blue player. So now let's go to the red player. 4, 3. So he's going to go here into the center. And it is just a regular old damage district. There's a couple of these, if I remember right. Well, there's already a couple on the board. They're kind of like almost like, I won't say a filler tile. I don't want to say that, but that's basically what they are. And he gets a yellow added to his board. So go over here, add a yellow to his board. And yeah, he's here. We got a program 1. Again, if I'm looking over here, I think we're good. Where we're at. No, you know what? Take that back. We'll use the program 1. Just well, you know what? Can't really use the experience. Well, I can use the experience. Nah, we won't use it. We won't use it. I lied. Unintentionally. All right, cool. Right. So that's where he's at. We don't do the trace or anything like that. Then we can launch, and as you see, really the only thing we can launch is these 3 reds. So we're going to launch these 3 reds and increase this by 1. Cool. That takes care of the action phase. We go to the combat phase. Nobody has anything to combat. Quest phase. Nobody has anything specifically for their quest. We tick that down. And we change the first player. So this is going to go from the blue to the red. And we begin again. So trace roll. Again, nothing to do on the trace roll. So then we're going to draw. Well, we start with the red player. He has nothing in his bag. Throwing stuff. So we're going to throw this in his bag. Give a little shake, shake, shake. And draw. Oh, that worked out. That's cool. Okay. And boom. So there you go. Same thing for the blue player, because remember this is simultaneous. So we do have some still in here in our bag. So we'll do these one by one. Remember, this isn't prepare. This is just regular fill your launcher. Green. Another red. Now our bag's empty, so we take all of these and we throw them. Whoop. Put them in here. Give it a shuffle. And then we start drawing out for the other 3 that we need. So there's a yellow, blue. Ooh, blue. Okay. That's the refill. So now let's go to program. Should do these in order. I'm sorry. Programming wise, now I like the experience. I know they'll be able to use it anytime soon, but I do like it. Yeah, but there's so many other things we need, like shields and whatnot. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, doing switches. 3, and switch this for 4. All right, so we're going to basically have blue, green, yellow. On the blue side, let's see. Let's do a switch. That's 1, 2. 3, 4, I guess. I was hoping I would have a way to get some other stuff, but that's good enough for now. That takes care of that. Upgrade, again, we don't have anything to upgrade with. So we go back to the board and we do our, starting with the red player. He's going to do his move and trace, district effect, and then launch his stuff. So we're going to move him here, I think. He's going to get any color we want. Okay. Let's see. Let's add a yellow. So there's the yellow. We just added that. And then he gets, server farm. Spend 1 asset to gain 1 other asset. So basically it's essentially a converting, that's what these tokens are called, or assets. So basically we could switch them up. I'm good with what I've got, so I'm going to leave it there. Then we're going to go to our launch step. So we're going to launch this blue program first. All right, that's +1 there. I'm going to launch this yellow program next. So that gives us a reroll. This green program gives us a shield. All right. Cool. That is our launch steps. Now let's go to the blue player, who's going to move here and get. It's so funny. The blue is the one guy. It's not like combat's not his thing, but he keeps getting the reds. Okay. That goes there. So that's what we got from our token, and then we're in the power plant. Oops. We can launch a basic asset pattern and gain +1 asset of the same type. Well, I mean, I think that's worth it. Let's go take a look. So I did misspeak. Assets are these things, these tracks. It like literally says it on there. So I don't know where I got the other from. We'll just pretend I never said that. So the district effect says launch 1 basic asset program. So that means basic assets are the colors, right? 3 or 5 of a color. And then we gain 1 asset of the same type. So like if I launch these reds, then I'm going to get a red, and then I'm going to get another red, right? So that's what we're going to do, might as well. Because that's the only thing we can do, really. So we're going to go ahead and launch that. So we get 1 for doing that, and then we gain 1 asset of the same type. So, boom. There you go. That's a pretty good effect. I'm not going to lie. That takes care of action. That was the district effect. if you remember, we don't have anything over here that we can launch now because that one thing was all that we could do. So we're going to go back over here. Combat, there's no combat. Quests, nothing for anybody specifically. World, are we both on the shelter tile? No, we're not. So, boom, drop that down. And there you go. Right. Remember, we changed first player, so now blue is the first player. All right, good deal. So we've got the blue player now. This is the token for that. Finally, I just got it because I was tired of doing it. All right. Right. Here we go. So, we don't have any bodies or anything like that. So we basically this round we've got to get here because we're about out of time. So blue's going to move here. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back. Starting with blue. It's simultaneous. It doesn't matter, but we'll start with blue since it's the first player. We refill the launcher. There's no trace roll, so we refill the launcher. Boom. Or I should have just pulled out one, but I think that's the order they came out in. Blue. Wish that was a little bit further over. And okay, well, that's not too bad. So that is refill the launcher, then we program. So remember I said I'm going to do this in order. Don't have a way. So there's not a basic pattern that you can get to unlock anything, but remember in our upgrades, let's reset. In our upgrades, I can spend 2 XP to unlock one of these. I don't have any XP. That's unfortunate. Yep, that's unfortunate. And the way we get XP is getting one of every color. So, I wonder if there's a way to do that. I wonder if there is. Now, here's the trick. So, you remember when we were talking about patterns? These are the patterns. So, this experience pattern right here, the order, blue, green, yellow, red, these have to be in that order in order to get that. That sounded weird. These have to be in the same order. There's no mirroring. So, it's not one of each color. It's literally this pattern. So I've got to go blue, green, yellow, etc., etc. Wow, that's unfortunate. Would love to get experience to unlock some of these, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that, which sucks. So, let's see, blue, green, yellow. I have the yellow. I have a good way to get red. I could get green. Let's see if we can do this. So let's do 1. 2. 3. 4. Now, that's not going to get me anything this time around, but it'll get me something. Oh, you know what? In the launch step, I can fix that, right? Because remember, I've got this dump ability, so I could get rid of this to flip that and then execute. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, good deal. So that is trace roll, refill the launcher, program for blue. So now let's go over here to red. We got a whole lot of space to fill first. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So there's another red, and the bag is empty. Not surprised since we did like 20 things last time around. These in here. Shuffle. And then draw them out. So we've got green. We've got blue. We've got another blue. We've got Oh, did I say blue? Yellow. There's another blue. All right. Uh, Programming. So let's see. And remember, blue, green, yellow, red for that. Blue, green, yellow, red. Yeah. Well, so maybe I could do 1 to switch, 2, 3, 4. Get us an XP there. Yeah, let's do that for now. So that is refill and program. Upgrade. Again, we don't have anything that we can use to upgrade. So that's it. So now we start with our first player, which is our red player. Move, and then it says you may change. So this is where if I wanted to change for it's not the red. If I wanted to change this color from red to something else, this is the time when I would be able to do that. But I do not. I'm good with that core type for now because I don't have any reason to change it. So that is going to end that. We're not going to inhabit one of my bodies. So this will be a place where if I had another body, I could switch it out, and it would switch this into whatever that body was. We'll look at that when we get to it. But for now, not what we're going to do. Cool. So he's just going to end his step there. That's all he's going to do. That's the action phase. Our move and trace and district effects. So now we go to launch. So I moved the wrong person, didn't I? Need to be blue. So go over here to the blue player. So this is what we're going to do. So during the launch step, per this, I can get rid of a blue. All right. I can dump a blue. It means it goes here. And then I can prepare. Oh, prepare. That's not move, is it? Well, I mean, it still gets 2 more tokens on the. Oh, these all go in. It still gets 2 more tokens. I'm not really using that blue one, so might as well. So dump and prepare means, and it's prepare 2, so it means out of the bag, because I didn't have any, so refilled it. I draw 2 of these tokens. And then, okay, so they're both red. And I can put them anywhere. It could be a light space. It could be a dark space. Doesn't matter. So I guess let's just do it like this. And then now I get to actually launch, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and launch this. Kind of worked out. And give us 1 more dice to roll. Okay. Now we're going to go to the red player. It's going to do the same thing. Move and trace. There's no trace to worry about. District effect. Not going to make any changes there. Launch programs. That's unfortunate. Go to the red player. Bring forward. Okay. So again, looking at this experience pattern, it's got to be that order, right? Blue, green, yellow, red. Blue, green, yellow, red. We're going to launch this. And that's going to give us an experience. So the experience are these little blue guys. Let's put that up there. And there's nothing else that we can launch. So we've completed the launch step. All this buddy has to do with this combat. So now we go to the quest phase. Are the players, any player quests? No. World quest. If all players are on the shelter tile, you arrived. So we're there. So we get some stuff, which is great. We're always forced up. We get a power, a shield, and a basic data token of my of our my type, whatever I want to get, into the dump, and then we draw a new card. So we get a shield. Well, let's see. So the blue player is going to get a shield. What did it say? A shield and a power. Wow. Maxed out on that. And then a token of our type. I like rerolls. So let's go with a yellow into the dump for him. And then the red player, again, same thing. A shield, a power, and then a token of our type that we want. Let's go with green, I think. Cool. And then it says we draw card AO2. So here we go, AO2. Here's the card. Inside the brightly lit building, you stumble upon a staircase to a dark basement, and as you approach, you hear the muffled din of voices. Your instincts. Oh my gosh, sorry, I can't hold it up here and read at the same time. Apparently, let me get a little bit closer to this. Well, I'll just put it down here because, like I said, I can't do that. Your instincts about about the note were right. The dimly lit space downstairs is full of life and hopefully answers. As you enter, a hefty bartender gives you a long look. I don't know you. I hope you don't bring trouble, she says, and offers you a glass of something murky. Drink it, brightens the mind. You briefly tell the woman your story. She listens, only half interested. I've heard it many times. Lost in the web, finding bodies, searching for answers. But most of those poor souls remember their past. You're better off. Others long for their past lives. Anyway, welcome. Try not to let Ascend's machines kill you. Oh yeah, Ascend is the evil AI that tries to kill us all. Ha ha ha. Have fun. It's kind of weird. Her voice halts when an explosion destroys the door. Someone shouts, "Run!" as two droids enter the room. So it says we set our time to 0. Done. Read the scenario sheet instructions AO2. So we go here. AO2 talks about combat, corrupted data, and enemies. And then it also says we need to look at augment cards and learning protocols. There are different possible outcomes depending on the player's decisions. In the prologue, the choices are present only to teach you about the possible branches of the story. So we need to pull out augment cards and learning protocols, I believe. So let me grab those. All right, so learning protocols. So, by the way, just for future, if anybody's wondering, whenever you ever have to reset this game, there's a lot of locked content. I don't think I mentioned that. There's locked content. Anything with an X00 starts unlocked. Everything else is locked, other than the stuff in the scenarios. Then those scenario pieces will go with each other. So, if you ever have to reset the box because you're going to play through the scenario again, or you're going to replay it through with somebody else, the campaign, that's the deal. But these learning protocols, give them a quick shuffle and draw some from the bottom. Well, so here's an example. So basically, it's a multi-step process, right? And you track when you've done that. So basically you do something. In this case, this top says gain a basic data token. And then if you do, you get one of these open data tokens, which are basically wilds. And then the second step is you do something, get a reward. But basically, essentially, once you do the third step, you have a skill, right? An ability that's always on, right, for the rest of the scenario. So that's what learning protocols do. And normally you would start the game with some learning protocols, but it told us in the setup that we didn't. The next thing that you have are faction. Let's see what it said. Did it say augments, I think? Yeah, augment cards, yeah. So you have faction augments. So you have multiple factions. So for example, there's the Seekers, there's the Commoners, there's the Ninkyo, Spartans, and then so those are the ones that come in the basic by default, and then through expansions you can get the Amaterasu and the Basilisk. But basically, what these are programs that you can launch with these things during the launch step, and it's going to give you some sort of ability when you launch it. So, like this one, increase your max health by 2, and then you suffer break. It also costs memory to slot these, so you may get these, right? But in order to activate them, so for example, in order to activate this one, which is really good, right? Deal 4, but you suffer a wound. It's going to cost you 2 to activate it, flamethrower. But once it's on your board, right? Once you slot it in, so over here in the red player, once I slot it in over here, like it's going to be active permanently. So that flamethrower, you know, I can get this into my hand, right? Sort of. So I get this, but I can't have it installed but once I install it, now anytime I do a launch, if I launch this pattern, I can only launch a pattern once, by the way. So like normally I can't do, like if I had a whole bunch of reds on the board, I couldn't launch, 3 sets of 3 reds and get 3 extra dice. That's not how it works. But that's what they do. Your stories and different choices you make will give you access to different factions augments. And there's faction augments, and there's also classes that work the same way. So that's what those elements are that it's talking about there. Let's see here. AO2, yes. Set each player draws and attaches 1 enemy. That's the next step. So let's go to the blue player. So this deck it's basically, remember in setup, it was all level 1s, level 2s. So this is level 1. So that's not the blue player, it's the red player. So we have RB. Oh man, it's about lunchtime right now. It's kind of making me hungry. So top, how much health he has, how much damage he does, his kind of special, depending on how we roll. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then during the launch step, here's things that I can do to launch, right? During my launch step to do some damage before we get to the combat. Now, these are going to stack up eventually. So there is what's called a repel, which basically is run away to get rid of it, right? But you're going to get one of those negative corruption tokens, right? And remember, that's kind of a timer, another timer in the pool. If we run out of those, we automatically lose. And it's going to gum up everything that's happening with our bag. So we don't want to do those if we don't have to absolutely do those. So what we're going to do is we're going to place that. Let's move all this over here. Place that right here. So now these can stack. Okay. We can only ever attack directly the top one. So, we kind of deal with them in the order that they come. So that's the first one for him. Red does the same. And this time we get Scanning Bot. So 7 health. Does 2 damage normally. Oh, no. Does 2 damage normally. And we can potentially do some red and our core types, in our case, 2 reds. Right, so that's what that is. To deal some additional damage, or a yellow and a red. For our current district tile. That's an interesting one. It's actually very interesting. Okay, cool. So we have done each player draws and attaches 1 enemy. Read the scenario sheet instructions. AO2. AO2 says, look at combat, look at augment cards, etc., etc. We've already done that. And then we flip it. So what is our goal? Fight for your life. Okay. Did it say class augments? Oh, it did say class augments. Hold on a second, I grabbed the wrong thing. All right, so these augments, right, are the same as the other ones I showed you, the faction augments. Class augments are the same idea, right? So we've got Whisperers, we've got Brawlers, and again, these are ones that I've got some of for everything. So this will be all of them that are available. Brawler, Whisperer, Troublemaker, Defrauder, Monk, Reaper, and Trickster. Now, I can tell you that, not surprisingly, the ones that come with the base game are the Whisperer, the Brawler, the Reaper, and the Trickster. So these other ones are from expansions. Okay. And we'll see what we decide on that when we get to that point. But, like I said, let me give you a shot of this. If you want to pause it, you can read it. We're still ignoring Trace. If all players have no enemies attached. So we basically have to defeat the enemy that we have. We take a class augment deck and draw the starting one. And then we draw one random learning protocol out of the learning protocols deck. And then we have to make a choice. Otherwise, nothing happens. So you'll notice that we set the time to 0. So basically, this is just teaching us how to do combat. Unfortunately for us, we have a handy-dandy sheet that tells us how to do combat. So, there you go. All right, cool. We completed that. We've got everything set up there. We put that there. We're going to start back at the beginning. Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, wait, almost did. First player changes. So from blue to red. Bam.